Everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Everybody, we're going to be live on multiple platforms here. So if you're catching the recording, we're waiting for some people to jump on. Give me some thumbs up when we start seeing some people jumping in, Daniel. Okay, we already got some people coming in live. Y'all that are joining me live, I'm going to be doing a Q&A today about real estate wholesaling, real estate investing, and helping you guys get started, right? Many of us aspire to be in this space for the potential of financial freedom, financial success. And I understand the struggle and the fears and the concerns and how to do it all. So I'm here to answer any questions, free advice, free training, and help you guys. So if you guys could chime in, tell me where you're from, what city you're in. Tell me as well what your experience is. If you're doing a deal, every month, let me know that. If you've done one deal but trying to get your second one, let me know. If you've never done a deal, let me know. But chime in also where you're from. That would be super helpful. So I also can share some things. We got more people jumping in about my real estate business right now, kind of the things that we're seeing. So we're seeing a ton of success this year compared to last year, same time frames. The first quarter of this year compared to last year, I've almost tripled revenue, which is pretty exciting, um, from last year to this year. So if you guys could chime in, where you guys are coming from, how much experience you have you ever done a deal. Um, so I believe that one of the reasons we're seeing kind of an uptick in opportunities is last year we had an increase in interest rates, right? And with that increase of interest rates, what that does is it makes the affordability of housing less for people because the same purchase price with the higher interest rates equals a higher payment for people. And for people to afford a house, they got to be able to afford the payment. And so if payments go up with just the increase of interest rates, like a hike in prices. So what had to happen is some markets, especially your higher inflated markets, definitely took a dip. They've plateaued and even have slowly started coming back up. But that affected a lot of people. It affected the flippers majorly that had properties they were trying to sell for more than they bought it for. It also affected a lot of people that are sourcing deals for flippers. So that's wholesalers like me. That's also title companies, anyone that's associated with real estate space, especially mortgage companies. So there's definitely was a bit of a dip last year, and we're seeing kind of the uptick already on the investor side. And so it's been really fun. So just kind of like an idea of what I'm talking about. If I don't change anything else, I should do about 150% this year compared to what I did last year. That's what we're on pace to do. But we are ramping things up as well as with marketing. I really hope to double my business this year versus last year. This has been one of the best times in the real estate investing space that I've seen in a 10-year stretch of doing this stuff, guys. Like this really is one of the best opportunities that I've had in my career, and doing this. So welcome everybody. If you guys have questions, please chime in. We got Kenny Wright from Houston, making offers. Love it. Jeffrey, do you own any homes? Uh, yeah, yeah, I own quite a few, Jeffrey. I own some in Florida, some here in Utah. I also do land in Florida mainly. So I have some land that I'm doing right now. We buy land, sell land. We're also selling land on contract. But yeah, I love real estate. I do a lot of it. It's my full time gig. I make a lot of money with real estate investing. I do also have these social media platforms. I do consult and coach as well. I absolutely love it. That's what we're doing today, right? Is helping you guys get started. So, Jeffrey, what questions do you have about your business? What are you trying to accomplish? And then Alex said, just saying, hi, welcome. Thanks for being here, guys. If you guys could chime in with any questions that you have, also those that are joining us just now, let us know where you're from, how many deals you guys have. Just got a text here, it looks like from Hayden Greenwood. Hayden has been with me. You can follow him on Instagram, pretty active there. He's actually just texted me, just landed in Anchorage, Alaska. He's going up there to fish for what is he fishing for? It's not salmon. He's fishing for sea run rainbow trout. What are they called? steelhead, fishing for steelhead. And, anyways, he's a rock star. He negotiates over $1 million a year in, gross profits, in our real estate deals. He's been with me for a long time. He's absolutely amazing, but he's out on vacation. But dude, this guy, just between last week and the week before, he signed 2 deals. We already have a buyer on one, and we're getting a buyer on the second. But we will make, get this is crazy, on the one wholesale deal. So what wholesaling is where I find a discounted house and I put it under contract to buy it. And that contract has a paragraph that allows me to assign it to someone else. We have already someone that we're going to assign the contract to. We're going to sell the contract. I think it's for $110,000. I thought it was 115, but I think it's actually $110,000. And then the next one, we're hoping to get about 107. We haven't locked in a buyer, but it's going to be right at that 6-figure mark. So pretty absolutely crazy. Um, pretty crazy, honestly. And that's just 2 of the many deals that we're working right now. So, we should see anywhere between 600 to $700,000 the next 2 to 3 months in income in my real estate wholesaling business. It's awesome stuff. So, going in here, Jeffrey said, "How can I get in contact with you?" It depends on what you're trying to do, Jeff. If you're trying to figure out how to become a student of mine, there's links in all my bios. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on TikTok, Instagram, just go to my bios and click on the link, book a call, and you can book a time on our calendar to become a student. But if you have a particular question for me, Jeff, that you'd like me to explain or answer, what is the main thing that you want to get in contact with me over? What are you trying to do, Jeff? Because maybe I could just call you if I need to. So what's your question? But go ahead, guys. Come to me with any of your real estate questions. If you're just starting out, what do you feel like's holding you back? If what's keeping you guys from getting started in real estate investing? I really, really want to help you. That is why I'm here. Well, I'm waiting for those to come in. Go ahead and ask me any questions you guys have around real estate investing. Do we not have any coming through TikTok? Really? Oh, okay. I'm not getting them. Are you texting them to me? Okay. Is there any more that have come in? Go ahead and ask me questions you guys have, guys. I'll answer this one because this is always the number one question that I get on any social media platform is how do you buy or build your buyers list? When you do real estate wholesaling, you've got to find a buyer for your deals, right? Because you find the discounted opportunity and pass it to an investor for a finder's fee. And you got to have that buyer, the buyer's list lined up. My suggestion to my students is you have at least 100 cash buyers. That's one of your first action steps. And so, my suggestion is a couple things. You can go to your Real Estate Investors Association groups, REIA groups near me. Google that, right? And you're going to find those meetups. And then you're also going to go find the Facebook groups of real estate investing groups near you, near your city. You're going to go online. You're going to find those places. You're going to go to those meetups. A lot of times you have to pay for them. You can also go to auction.com, figure out when there's the county auctions near you. So every county has a county courthouse, right? And they do auctions on those county courthouse steps, depending on how many foreclosures, how many tax foreclosures they have. That's where they'll auction those properties, and so that you can actually go there and make offers, cash offers on these properties. You don't need to go there to make cash offers on the houses, but you can go and meet the people that are making offers on houses and get them added to your buyers list. And you're going to want to get phone numbers and emails and names. So when you have a deal, you can blast it out to them via text and email. This is the opportunity if you guys would like to see it. So those are my 2 favorite ways. And then the third way that's the most successful, this is the one I used on my 40-day challenge. If you guys don't know what the 40-day challenge is, it's free on my YouTube channel under playlists. Watch the 40-day challenge. I made $93,000 in just 40 days doing what I'm talking about here, which is real estate wholesaling, and doing some driving for dollars. So you guys go watch that. But I built a huge list, a couple thousand cash buyers in a matter of a few hours, and I just contacted the wholesalers in my area. found them by Googling "sell my house fast" in the city and started calling people and saying, "Hey, do you wanna build your cash buyers list? You want more cash buyers to get more for each of your deals?" And when they said yes, I say, "Great, I'm trading cash buyers. My goal is to get you more than you give me. How many cash buyers do you have? Would you be willing to trade up for more?" And I got, I think 4 or 5 wholesalers lined up. They all sent me the list. I got rid of the duplicates and sent it back to them. So it's a very fast way as well. So it looks like we have some questions coming in. Um, Jeffrey said, "How do you think about paying off your mortgage earlier?" Well, it depends on why and what property is. If it's a personal house, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's probably not the best thing mathematically. Mathematically, it does make sense to not be over leveraged. You want to have, at least my rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months of savings to cover your monthly payments and all expenses. So that's monthly payments plus a vacancy, meaning you don't have rent coming in, plus you have, that, and if you have to have, um, what's it called? Any repair costs, I like to have at least $2,000 in repair costs minimum per rental or per unit. So I have a fourplex, I like to have more than that. Um, so I like to have my properties leveraged. There's a couple reasons for that, my investments at least. The reason I like to have those leveraged is because mathematically I make more money. The amount the interest rates are uh, versus the returns I get, it's usually worth doing. But yeah, mathematically it makes sense. But there's also people that love the peace of mind of not having debts, not having payments. It's really up to you. But obviously, mathematically, it makes way more sense as an investor to have and leverage your money. A couple great books on this is Robert Kiyosaki has some great books. One of them is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Another one is Cash Flow Quadrants, which would be some good ones. And then the last one is ABCs of Real Estate Investing. Those would be three great books, guys. If you're curious about buying properties, how to structure financing, how to structure long-term holds, and if they're profitable or not. Alex MacArthur said, "How do we get started in real estate with a low to medium budget?" Yeah, so for me, the best and I think the only way that you should start in real estate investing is starting with wholesaling. So there's a handful of reasons for this. So I read a book once, and this is when like the aha happened. So I bought a duplex. I bought a duplex back in 2012, lived in one side, rented the other side. Today's lingo, it didn't have lingo back then, but today's lingo, they call it house hacking, right? And I think that name must have been dubbed like the podcast Bigger Pockets or something. And what the idea is live in one side and rent the other. You could get the property with a primary residence loan, low down payment, good interest rates, right? Debt to income ratios, you can, get away with a lot higher debt. There's benefits to that. Main one is not having a huge down payment, right? Because that's such a huge barrier for people to get started in real estate investing. That's why I couldn't buy another rental. So that was the thing. I bought this duplex and I wanted to buy another one, but since it was an investment property, I wasn't moving into it, buying it with a primary residence loan. I mean, I could have moved into the next one and moved into the next one and kept doing that. And that's what the house hacking idea is. But I didn't wanna do that. My wife was pregnant. We did buy another one, but it was a single family home. For the 3rd house, I wanted to, get a duplex or a triplex or whatever, and I couldn't get qualified. I didn't have the down payment, plus my debt to income was an issue. Back then, I was actually washing windows. I had a window cleaning company, and, so I then tried flipping houses. Actually, I went out and started asking all my wealthy window cleaning clients, if they would give me money to flip a house. And I tried flipping a house. I got money from someone. I flipped a house and I lost $5,000. I remember being there Christmas Eve morning, swinging the hammer. It was horrible, horrible experience. Hated every second of it. And I probably would have hated it less if I didn't lose money, but I paid my lender back plus interest. everyone got paid off, but I took a little bit of a hit and I worked my butt off on that stupid thing. I was like, okay, that stuck. That was high stress. That was high risk. I'm lucky I only lost 5 grand. And I was like, let's find let's find another way. And so I listened to this podcast and I found out about real estate wholesaling. That's where, you may have heard people say, like, get into real estate with no money down. So what is that? What wholesaling is where we find ugly houses, right? We find a discounted ugly house. So usually people that are willing to sell their house at a discount, they want a pawn shop for their house, right? They want speed and convenience over price. And people are like, oh, that doesn't exist. Everyone wants everything they can get out of their house. It's like, no, that's not true. Even you trade convenience for price all the time, all the time. If you guys are paying Amazon Prime right now, you're paying for convenience. You want same day delivery, right? If you buy food versus cook food ever, you're trading convenience for time. We do it every single day. So there's certain situations that really push people to want convenience over price. Um, that's when there's people that are tired landlords, people that inherit houses, people that need to relocate quickly, people that don't want to deal with the traditional process of working with a real estate agent and having a 30-day close and all those things. People want to close quickly. And there's some people too that, have a really bad house. It's in really bad condition and it actually would not even qualify for long-term loans that the banks, traditionally offer. It would need to go to an investor because it's in such bad shape. So these are the situations we're looking for. And I discovered that I could find these people and find these opportunities and I could, get them at a major discount. And if I got them at a discount, I could flip them. I could make money. I could get them at a discount and rent them and make money. Or I could do the wholesaling process where I don't have to have any debt, any money, any risk, where I could get the property under contract and pass that contract over to another investor and they close on it. And I get a fee. I get a wholesale fee, right? And you're like, okay, cool. How much are you making? A couple $100? No, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. My average deal, guys, of wholesaling, and I still do this to this day, and I do like a deal a week. My average deal is 30 grand. Right? I make a ton of money. I've got 2 pending right now that are 6-figure deals. It's crazy, crazy money. So this is my favorite strategy. And why is it my favorite strategy? And why is it my favorite strategy for someone just starting out? You don't need a ton of money. They don't take on a lot of risk. So if you get a property under contract and you blast out to your buyers list, your buyers inspect it and they're like, dude, it has foundation, it has issues, it has this, it's got termites, blah, blah, blah. You're $50,000 too high because of these things. Well, you go back to the seller and say, during our inspection period, we found these things. I'm under contract too high. I need to cancel the contract or we need to renegotiate. They're not willing to renegotiate. You cancel the contract, you walk away, and you didn't lose anything. You got educated, right? If you had bought that house, you would have gotten educated with a $50,000 loss, right? So the problem with getting started investing is there's risk. But with wholesaling, it gets rid of that risk factor and you get educated. You get educated by the guys that have the money, that are taking the debts, that are taking the risks, that have been there, done that, and will educate you through the process because they have the potential of making money, helping you become successful, right? So I love wholesaling. I still use it to this day. I do other things. I do land. I sell properties on contract. I do lots of different creative things now, but it really all started in having explosive success starting with wholesaling. So that's a long way of saying start with real estate wholesaling, Alex. That would be my suggestion. And in my bios in Instagram and TikTok, I have a training on this where it really breaks this stuff down even more. So you can check that out. And I also coach this, right? I do coach. So there's also a link in all my bios that you can book a time on our calendar to talk to me about coaching you if you are interested. No pressure. What do you think of Section 8? No, I've got one Section 8 rental. It's nice getting consistent income from tenants. You have a few hoops to jump through, but not too big of a deal. If for those that don't know what Section 8 is basically government assisted housing, where the government helps people that are low income to help cover their rent. So, yeah, I've got one in South Ogden right now, South Ogden, Utah. Is wholesaling in South Carolina even relevant? 1000%. I wish I had that screenshot right here on my phone. My phone's right here though. So, um, in Greenville, South Carolina, was my very first student I ever coached. Michael McLeish. He's still doing wholesaling there. He's in Colorado, but he has his business in Greenville, South Carolina. So I started coaching, not because I wanted this. Like I never had any intention of building a coaching business or being an influencer. Um, I'll explain. Um, Back in 2018, I read a self-help journal that said whatever I wanted to receive, I had to give away. And I was trying to go from a half a million dollars to $1 million in my wholesaling business. Uh, and I was kind of like pinching myself because I used to be a window cleaner, right? So I was like, holy crap, I'm making half a million a year. I was like, there's no way, right? Like, this is crazy. And the self help journal that I read by Darren Hardy, and in the first 100 pages is like kind of explains who you have to be, the things you have to do, and help you create three big goals for that year. And one of the things I said is I had to give away whatever I wanted to receive. So one of my big goals is I want to generate $1 million in my business. I meant I had to give away $1 million, right? If you want love, give love, want value, give value. So because I didn't have $1 million just to give away, plus I didn't go like it didn't sit right just to give away money. I don't think it really helps anybody just to give a free handout. Um, Thus people file bankruptcy when they win the lottery, right? Like it didn't help them. Um, So what we did, my wife and I talked about it, and I decided to teach people how I generated the half a million. I was like, "I'll bring on 10 people. I'll teach them how to each make at least $100,000 in the next 12 months." I could easily do that, right? 1000% we could do that. And, you know, completely blew my mind, right? Because my first students, those first 10 students, and even my students to this day, they had massive success. So, like, one of my students, Scott Dallinger, $114,000 on his very first wholesale deal that I helped him on. Crazy, right? And then Michael McLeish, like I was mentioning, he's in Greenville, South Carolina. He texted me 18 months after. He knew that what my goal was. I told all 10 of them, my goal is to put $1 million in your pockets. You guys are my guinea pigs. I'm going to teach you what I'm doing so you guys can go out and get results too. And so he knew it was $1 million as a goal. And he's like, hey, just by the way, I have hit the goal. I've made $1 million already from what you've taught me. So in 18 months, my very first student made $1 million. And I have that screenshot of that text. It was pretty mind blowing, honestly. The cool thing is, by the end of that year, I did $1.2 million in my real estate wholesaling business because the more I taught, the more I learned, and the more efficient that we got with my system. So pretty awesome. So this can be done anywhere where you have enough population, right? So does it work in California? Does it work, from sea to shiny sea? Yes, it works, right? Why does this work? Because people trade convenience for price all the time, right? And they do it with houses too. And we happen to be the ones that are out there working to find those people. We find the opportunity, we pass it to an investor for a finder's fee. So the only qualification is, do you have houses? Do you have at least 150 to $200,000 or 200,000 people within an hour to hour and a half drive from you? If you do, you can do this. If you don't have anybody, you live out in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming or Nevada or something, right? And you're probably not here because you're a recluse and that's your thing, and that's awesome, right? But, most of you probably have the opportunity to do this. Um, would you advise getting a contract for condemned house? Yeah, I've gotten, contracts for condemned house. Depends on, what's condemning it. Sometimes the city will condemn a house. Sometimes they'll condemn it because, the code violations have been there too long, and I've been able to go in and negotiate with the city to remove the condemned, things and remove all of the back penalties and fees and, code violation fees. I've seen code violation fees over 6 figures, guys, over time, right, with a house that sat vacant for too long, and penalties and everything. And I've been able to renegotiate, get those removed, get them under contract, then get them all removed, which then increase the value, of course, and make money. Sometimes they're condemned and they need to be torn down. Then the value is just in the land, and then you get the property under a deep enough discount that it's, let's say the land's worth $30,000, get it under contract for 7, 8, 9, and you can make, 5 to 10 grand. So I do a lot of land in Florida where we do that same thing. So I've just bought multiple deals anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000, and they're going to sell anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000, right? So I've had three that we've bought and sold within the last 3 months. And then I think I've got one, two, I just wired on one. Honestly, don't know. I think I have like another three or four um, that we're working on right now. So yeah, you can do land. Um, What's the best way to find investors and buyers? Catch the recordings of these because I just answered that at the beginning of this call. It's the number one question. I also have free videos for YouTube, podcasts, Instagram, and TikToks that explain this. The number one question I get: what's the risk of real estate compared to other forms of investments? Um, Honestly, real estate investing, I think, is the most secure investment of all of them because you actually have intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? You actually have usable value. So crypto, what's intrinsic value? Well, it's a hedge against, the current currencies like the US dollar or the Japanese yen or whatever, right? Um, Stocks, what's really the intrinsic value? It's like, okay, here's a perceived value. If you buy it at this price, hopefully it'll go up in value. But it's basically portions of ownerships of this company. But the problem with what I see with those types of investments is like, what's the real value? How's that money really being used? Right? Where if I buy a house, there's intrinsic value. People need to live in it. People will use it. People will use this piece of real estate for, living or working, right? They use this property. There's actual value there. And when I buy real estate, I'm actually holding something that, yes, will go up in value. The other thing that I like about real estate is it gives monthly payments, monthly cash flow instead of just buying it and hoping that it goes up in value over time, right? Uh, the other reasons that I really love real estate is, the government. There's about 7 different things you can invest your money in that government will incentivize and give you tax write-offs, right? But one of the main ones is real estate. So if I buy a piece of real estate, the government gives tax incentives to rent out that property or to use real estate as an investment vehicle. And so what they'll allow me to do, so on a 4-unit apartment down to a single family home, they allow me to write off the majority of the value of that house as an expense over 27 and a half years. So on paper, I'll be showing a loss. I'll be having a phantom loss, as they call it. So when I buy a rental, not only will it go up in value and will the tenants pay me month to month, and I'll make extra money beyond the payment that I have to make to the bank. So get this, the bank gives me money to buy a house. Well, then the tenant gives me money to pay the bank, and then it goes up in value. The house is getting paid off. And then the government will allow me to show that I'm actually losing money when I'm actually making money. And with those losses, I can take those losses against other income, like my real estate wholesaling, or if you have a day job, you can show those losses against other income. So there's lots of benefit that real estate has that some of these other investment vehicles don't, right? So those are just some. There's some great books on this. Um, Rich Dad Poor Dad will really open your eyes to this. And then there's another one by the Rich Dad company that I really like as well. It's called Real Estate Tax Loopholes or Tax Loopholes. It's one of those. Guys, look it up. Um, okay, found 2 properties, found the owners, got phone numbers and emails, all dead ends. Okay, 2 properties. Like, I love that you went out and got started and you got phone numbers. You found 2 properties. We find, thousands of properties, uh, to do a deal, right? So our jobs, let me give you an example. If you're like, "Man, I wanna find a wife. I wanna find someone that means the world to me, that completes me, that I wanna grow old with." And you're like, "I asked 2 girls for their phone number, and I just didn't find my wife." Right? It's like, do you really want to find a wife? Probably not, right? It might take a little bit more work than that. The same thing with doing real estate deals. Think about this, my average deal, my average wholesale deal, finding a discounted house and passing it on is $30,000. Are you willing to put in 40, 50, 60 hours and spend 2, 3, $5,000 to make 30 grand? Yep, right? If not, you need to get out of this business because it's not for you. So what I do in my business to do over $1,000,000 a year, I'm gonna break down the kind of work that goes into this. I add 2,000 properties every single week with ugly houses, houses that have peeling paint, right? Shingles blown off, they look dated, broken down vehicles in the yard, garbage all over the place, any physical signs of neglect. We use an app called Deal Machine, which allows us to, we'll drive through these median to lower income housing neighborhoods. We drive through these neighborhoods and we use an app called Deal Machine. So we identify these ugly houses, and then with the click of a button, we touch the house. It's basically a Google Maps image. We touch the house, it'll upload all the owner's information. And right within the app, you can send postcards, you can get their phone numbers. I'm using a multiple line dialer, so I can call multiple people at one time, but it's going to take some work. If you want to see like what it really, really takes to be successful, I went and did this 40-day challenge where I made $93,000 in just 40 days, and I had $1,000 for marketing. So it's free to watch them in my YouTube channel. Go to real estate investing. No, sorry, driving for dollars mastery dash Zack Boothe and YouTube, and go to playlists and watch that 40-day challenge. And you'll see what it takes. You see me grinding, cold calling, driving, going on appointment, driving, cold calling, working my freaking butt off to make that kind of money. But, I guarantee you a lot of people work here all year long, just as hard, and probably make $40,000-$50,000 a year, right? So the cost to the benefit, I believe, is, it makes sense to go do it, but it is work. It's a lot of work. Um, I'm in Western Kentucky, but the owner lives in Virginia, or I'd be knocking on their door. Um, yeah, I mean, get the phone number and reach out and see if they wanna sell. So you can how do you get phone numbers? You can use Deal Machine to get phone numbers. You can use batchskiptracing.com to get phone numbers. So what's skip tracing? Skip tracing is, when debt collectors or bounty hunters are trying to get a hold of someone. Right? The terminology is when someone skips town, they're skip tracing them. Right? They're trying to find their information even if they're out of state or whatever. So, there's batchskiptracing.com, Deal Machine, and then a really good one, it's expensive though, it's like $200 a month. You get a certain amount of skip traces, but it's called Skip Genie, and then you can actually find, family members of that person as well, right? And try and figure out who owns it. But yeah, if the house is vacant and they live out of state, guys, that is gold. Those are our favorite deals. Those are a lot of times what our six-figure deals come from. Love it. In Detroit, and there's so many wholesalers. Great. That means that you could be the next one, right? If there's so many wholesalers, it means it's working, right? What's crazy? It's like, man, there's already so many basketball players. I'm just not going to play basketball. It's crazy, right? Like if you're willing to put in the work, you can be there too. Because there's proof of concept that other people can be successful, that means you can be successful too. It's actually a bad thing if I say wholesaling is real and you can make money and there's nobody wholesaling. Guess what? That means I'm lying. What I'm telling you is there's a way to do it. The difference, though, is how to not be just like everyone else, how to avoid the competition. And that's why I do driving for dollars, because no one has that exact same list. I'm reaching out to people that haven't been bombarded every single day. There's a little bit of work and barrier of entry to go out and do the driving, and there's training on this strategy in all of my bios. So definitely check those out. How much work are you putting in order to make real estate a sustainable source of income? So I spend about 5 to 10 hours a week in my real estate business. Y'all are like BS, right? At this point, it's true. So how do I do this? What do I do with those few hours that I put into this? So I meet it with my team every Monday and talk about what our responsibilities were last week and get updates from everybody, what our goals and what our focuses are, and what everyone needs to focus on that week, right? And then I do a KPI meeting every Wednesday where we look at our numbers, and it's mostly my marketing numbers. Where's our marketing going out? What are the results we're getting from our marketing? What deals do we have pending? What do we need to do on those deals? So, what does my team look like? So, I'm doing deals in multiple states, okay? But just here in Utah, my core business that makes me just $1 million a year just here in Utah, okay? And then I have a bunch of other money coming in different places. But with just here in Utah, this is my team. Ready? This is crazy. It's gonna blow your mind to make $1 million. I have one guy that runs all my negotiations, goes on all my appointments, does all the follow-up, and once we find a deal, he gets the buyer in place, does all the transaction coordination with the title company, all of it, right? His name's Hayden. Does $1 million a year. He's a beast. Amazing kid. Um, I have Miguel. Met Miguel when I was serving a mission in Brazil. He's Brazilian. Love this kid. I worked alongside him with him. Probably hardest work ethic anyone I ever worked with. Amazing with systems. Ran his family's business in Brazil. Now works for me running my business here. He does all my marketing. He does all of that stuff. Um, and then he manages a driver who does part-time driving here and then does a bunch of our stuff out in Florida. But our driver does about 20 hours a week or so, 20 to 30 hours a week here in Utah driving to add our marketing list. And then I have two Filipino cold callers. That's my entire team to do $1 million. And it allows me to be completely free to do what I love, which is this. That's how I have so much time to coach and to teach and to give back is because I have a core business that makes me a ton of money that doesn't take a lot of time. So it is very possible to have a business that runs without you. Um, ooh, beautiful. Um, I'm gonna end it like this, okay? Because it's been fun to answer your questions, and I'm sure we got more questions. More than anything, if you guys want coaching, if you're curious about my coaching, there's trainings in my bio, but there's also a link in my bios that allow you to get on our calendar to talk to you about your business, what you're trying to accomplish, see if I'm a fit to coach you and help you get there, right? But what I want to say is this. If you guys want to see massive success in your life, you have to live with abundance. And I learned this accidentally by becoming a coach and teaching other people. Because the more I taught, the more I learned, and the more results that I got out of what I was teaching, right? Because when you have to teach something and explain something, it actually opens your mind to where your weaknesses are, what you really don't understand, right? And so if you want to really understand a concept, find someone to teach it to, find someone to help and you give back. I learned this also from a book by Stephen Covey. It is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And right towards the beginning of the book, he talks about being able to retain more information and being able to, recall and implement more of what you're learning or what you're reading. And he said, if you want to retain, I can't remember what percentage more, it was a drastic amount more from what you're studying. He says, study it to teach it, and even better, actually teach what you're studying, and your brain will retain it more and more. And importantly, it'll be integrated into your life. You'll live it, you'll be doing it. And so if you guys start consuming my podcast, Driving for Dollars Mastery, or my YouTube channel or my TikTok, I want to encourage you to teach this stuff to someone else, to discuss this stuff with someone else. And if you're like, man, I don't even know who to talk to about this, well, Facebook groups, there's private Facebook groups. There's people right here on my social media that are engaging. Reach out to them, say, hey, do you want to be an accountability partner? Find friends, create friends that are excited about this stuff, that are excited about building financial freedom. Share what you're learning with each other, right? I have my own little groups of people that are working at this kind of the similar levels that I am, and we work together and share what we're learning and what we're struggling with, and then they share those things, right? We have little mastermind groups that are free that we've created to help each other, right? So I want you guys to understand that there's an abundance, there's a ton of opportunities. Is there competition? Sure. But there's actually more opportunity to network and work together than there is loss of opportunity because someone else had some success. So I want to challenge you guys to get out there and help each other and work towards seeing other people be successful as well. And so much more will come back to you guys. So thanks for joining me live today. I'm going to be doing these lives quite often. So make sure you have your notifications on, hitting the bells, following me so I pop up as live so I can keep coaching and keep adding value to you guys' lives during these lives. And like I said before, but if you want direct access to me, my cell phone, and me coaching you one on one, there's a link in my bio to book a call. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you in the next one.